Hi, back again. I'm gonna teach you how to change the strings for your guitar. Now, lucky for you, I broke a string on my acoustic guitar yesterday, and I decided to leave it until I was ready to show you guys how to change strings. Now, strings break, it happens. Depending on how much you play, change the strings every couple of months usually. Or if a string breaks or if they start sounding not too good, change them. You know, there's no law that says you gotta change them, but you know, whatever you want. If you want the guitar to sound nice at its best, new strings sound better than old strings. So first thing you got to do, take off a string. Generally, I do it one string at a time. I heard it's better for the neck not to take off all the strings. Taking off all the tension, adding it back on, not too great for it. I mean, if you really want to, I guess you could, but one string at a time is generally easier. So first thing you do, I already lost one string, but I'll just show you how to take off the strings, though it should be pretty simple. Go to the headstock and start loosening. Loosen, loosen. Until you can get the string unlooped around this tuning peg. Pull it out. No more string. Bye-bye. Garbage. Now, you get your pack of strings. Usually they're either each string is an individual envelope or they're color coded. In this case, they each have a different bead. So the high E string, which is the first string I want to change, is this one here, silver. You unwrap it. Careful not to bend it. If you put a bend in the string, it will break very quickly on you. It might not even get into tune before it breaks. Every guitar is different. On an electric guitar, on a Fender style guitar, these strings go in through the back, oops, come out through the front, loop over. There's many different ways. This one, strings go in through a little hole in the saddle. Trial and error, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to figure it out. Just look at, you know, the way your guitar is currently set up. Then, putting the string on, it's very important you wind the string the right way. The first time I tried changing strings, I did it on my own, having no clue what to do. I wound the string the wrong way, and it just snapped before it was even in tune. You want the string to go, just look at the way it was before. The side of the tuning peg closest to the notch on the nut is where you want the string to be. Put that in. Loop it around a few times, going underneath the original string, and then tighten it. Try not to put a bend in the string. Like I said, if you put a bend, the string will very likely break on you. And you keep tightening. This may take a while. There we go. Then when the string starts getting a little bit of tension, put it in place on the headstock and keep tightening again. They have little devices you can put over the tuning peg to tighten it faster. I never like those. Just keep tightening until you get a sound. Not necessarily the sound you want, but a sound. Forgot it. The string's on the top here. You got this sticking out. Good not to leave it there. You can cut it. What most people do is they'll take nail files and they'll clip them. That usually does a number on the nail clippers just because it's metal strings. You will put little notches in it. What I do, and I've never really seen too many people do this, is I just bend the string back and forth till it breaks. The string, I've never had a string come out on me. Breaks, there's clean, nothing sticking out. Alright, so you got your strings on here. Your guitar sounds like a piece of garbage because the strings are out of tune. What do you do? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is get your low E string into tune. Now the strings, just to let you know, we're tuned E, A, G, E, A, D, G, B, E. Memorize that, write it down, whatever. That's how the strings are tuned. There's alternate tunings. I'm not going to get into that. When you get more advanced, you can teach yourself. So, start, try to get your E string into tune. If you have a tuner, use that. If not, try to find an online tuner, or you can use this video. I'm going to play an E note. Try to get your string to sound like that. And once you get that into tune, one way you can try to tune a guitar is you can, several little things. One is you can try Here Comes the Bride. Here comes the bride. First string to the next string is Here Comes the Bride. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. It will not work with your G string to your B string. There's another way you could do that, but it will work from your B string to your E string. Here comes the bride. Main way, which I use, is the 5th fret. Finger the 5th fret of your low E string. It should be the same as your A string. 5th fret of your A string, same as your G string. I mean D string. 5th fret of the D string, same as the G. 4th fret of the G, the D, is same as your B, and 5th of the B, same as the E. So that's I think the easiest way to try to tune a guitar. You get one string into tune and use it to tune the rest. Or the easiest, get a tuner and use that. So get your guitar into tune. Then once you get your guitar into tune, I'm going to go over a little practice that you can try to do to learn the note. The way most guitar tuners work, let me hold it up here, see if you can see. When you pluck a string, it tells you whether it's too high, too low, and it tells you what note it's closest to. Right now I want to tune to an E. Okay, so the first exercise, which I think would be good for you learning how to actually play the guitar, is learning where different notes are. Now, I didn't really say what a note was. The note represents a certain harmonic frequency and intervals of that frequency. Just one little reference point. The 12th fret is always the same note, one octave higher. An octave is the next time that note appears. So 12 frets higher from any point you are would be one octave higher. 12 notes in the chromatic scale. So the first exercise I'd like you to do is just start learning the notes for the first 4 frets. So that's on the high E string. Let's start. You would just go open, first finger, second finger on the 2nd fret, third finger on the 3rd fret, pinky finger on the 4th fret, and then back down. And while you're doing that, say the name of the notes. So you have E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, G sharp, G, F sharp, F, E, and then do that for all the notes. I'm going to put a link to a little chart so you can do that. I'm not really going to reference the names of notes directly that often in my lessons, but it's good to know. Learning this will help you learn other things more easily, and it'll help with music theory. Start learning scales, which I will cover very lightly at some point, but not get too in depth with. But it will help with just overall knowing how to play guitar. I would highly recommend learning all the notes well. So start doing that. Also, this is important because it'll build finger memory. When you can start doing this, it'll make finger-released chords. It'll make finger chords and changing from one chord to another easier. Alright, so practice that. Until next time, have a nice day.